Okay, here, so we're going to be talking about the driving forces of environmental change. And there is a formula that I would like you to know, which is called the Ipat formula. And this is related to population growth, human population growth, and it's also related to economics and the development of new technologies. So this can be abbreviated as the impact on the environment is determined by the population size, so the number of people. So as we increase the number of people, this is going to increase the impact on our environment. That's pretty obvious. And then we have what is referred to as affluence. So affluence is the amount of goods and services that a person uses. So this is like their economic activity. So we are affluent in the United States because we use a lot of goods and services. We have a lot of stuff, right? Compared to other countries, we have maybe multiple televisions. We may have multiple cars. We may even have multiple refrigerators, right? And so this affluence is shown, and if a lot of people, if we have a lot of people and we have a lot of people at a high affluence, then that's going to impact the environment more. And then we have technology. So technology here is the economic impact of these things that we are using. So what is the economic impact of everybody having a cell phone? What is the environmental impact? What is that impact? What kinds of resources do we need to accumulate in our environment to produce these cell phones? And then we could also talk about it as a systems perspective. Where do these cell phones go? I'm using cell phones as the example because that's the one that's reigning biggest in my mind recently. But there are other things like cars, right? So when we upgrade to a new car, where does that old car go? Where do our old vehicles go? So this all influences the environment, and this is a driving force to habitat destruction and climate change and decreasing fisheries, and then also the decline in fresh water and also an increase in the use of fresh water. So some of the things that is affected by this Ipat equation would be agriculture. So this would be like we need to, because we have a large population, we need to increase the amount of food that we are producing. And we did that very well by converting land. So a lot of our grasslands have been converted to agricultural fields. So in terms of agriculture, one of the interesting things has to do whether or not we are eating primarily vegetables or if we're eating meat. So as we increase our affluence, oftentimes this increases meat consumption. And meat consumption is relatively, compared to grains, more impactful because of the resources that are required to produce it. So you'll remember that ecological pyramid where we have sun coming down, we have the producers, which are the plants, and then as we move up that pyramid, we're losing energy to the environment. So it's more energetically costly the higher you eat up on the food pyramid. So that is one thing that we could look at. So let's see if I have that. Oops, I forgot to put that image up there. So we have an image that looks at the impact of diet. So here we have diet and the environment. And so this is the amount of fossil fuels and land required to produce 1 kilogram of grain versus 1 kilogram of meat. And so you'll notice that it takes much more water to produce meats, cows, chicken, poultry, right? It takes a lot more fossil fuels and it takes a lot more land. So with increasing affluence, we have increasing meat consumption, which we have an increase in the impact on that environment. We could also look at another image from your book that looks at our energy and transportation. Oops, wait a minute, I lost my screen share. Let me go back and screen share again. So maybe we need to go back on that one. Join from a room, meetings. Just a second, I got this. Cancel, okay, meetings. Join from our room. Okay. Share content. Screen. Got it. Okay. Okay, there we are. We're back. Okay, let's go back to this one. So I think that this shows what meat consumption does in terms of the impact, right, on our environment. This shows our impact on our transportation. So this would be like technology, right? So as we develop technology to fly around the world, we can see that using your personal automobile or a personal truck is much more intensive in terms of technology and the consumption of fossil fuels than it is, say, for example, walking or bicycling. So it might be that when you're a poor college student, you might be walking, right, and bicycling. And it might be that maybe even in your country, the people rely upon public transportation or even bicycles, right? So in the United States, we have developed our communities around driving. And so this makes it very difficult to get around without driving and actually owning a car. And so we could reduce that impact through new technologies like urban transportation systems that work for everybody. Okay. Then we have image. Just simply the amount of solid waste that is produced. So as we increase in affluence, we're actually just producing more garbage. So you can think about this as all the stuff that you throw away during the week. So interestingly, it might be that when you are poor and you don't have as much money to spend, you might actually buy stuff that has more packaging. So you might actually spend your money buying stuff with lots of packaging. So you might actually produce more of this waste than, say, for example, a person that is able to spend a lot of money at a food co-op, a natural food co-op, and buy in bulk. So maybe they have decided that they're going to reduce their packaging. But one, they have the time, they have the money, they have the resources to utilize that. And so that might reduce your impact. So this might be like, you think about people that might not have a lot of money, but they still produce a lot of waste. Okay, so that is another way that affluence influences our impact on the environment.